أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the Madrasa course book 4, and here we are doing chapter 9, reward and punishment, as-sawab wal iqab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam and Hawa and gave them guidance to worship him alone. As time passed, the world became filled with people who forgot about Allah's commands. They began to worship false gods. They became liars and ill-mannered. And this was due to the waswas of the shaitan, where people began to worship false gods and went astray uh, while um, while not fulfilling the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah wanted to call the people back to the straight path. He sent prophets to these people from among them. One of them was Nuh alayhi salam. Nuh alayhi salam reminded his people that there is only one God, Allah, and that they should worship Him alone. So this is nothing but Tawheed, and all the prophets of Allah, starting from Adam alayhi salam till the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, all the prophets came only to remind people about Tawheed, that there is only one God. He, Nuh alayhi salam, warned them not to bow down before idols and false gods. He said, "My people, I am a clear warner to you. Worship Allah and obey me." So we can find these words in the Quran also in the Hadith also, where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling to his people that he is a clear warner. And yes, in the Quran also, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you are but just a warner. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you your wrong actions. He, Nuh alayhi salam, called his people night and day. Every time he called them to Allah's forgiveness, they put their fingers into their ears and wrapped themselves up in their clothes. Oh, what a shame that they did this, that they didn't want to hear what was righteous. Nuh alayhi salam called them openly and publicly and talked to them privately, but they did not listen to him. They refused to obey him. In fact, they made fun of him. They called him a liar and a madman. So these were the jobs given to the prophets. They had to call the people, however, by whatever manner, whether it's openly, publicly, privately, but every prophet had to face this. People refused them, people refused to hear them, people refused to obey them, and not only that, they also made fun of them. They call them liar and madman. So we also get to hear about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he also was given names. He was called a liar, he was called a madman, he was called as someone who performed magic or witchcraft or did witchcraft. He was also called a poet. So he was called all these names. So for many years, Nuh alayhi salam tried to turn the people to Allah, but only a few people followed him. He was dismayed to see the arrogance and stubbornness of his people. Finally, in despair, Nuh alayhi salam asked Allah for help. Allah told him to build a ship which took a long time to build. All the people laughed at him. They said he was crazy to build the ship far away from the sea. So this was with the permission of Allah that Nuh alayhi salam started to build a ship, and that was also a help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nuh alayhi salam warned his people that Allah would punish them if they refused to obey him. They only mocked him. They did not pay any attention to his warnings. When the ship was ready, Allah told Nuh alayhi salam to take on board one male and one female of every kind of creature. So Nuh alayhi salam was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when his ship got ready to take a pair of every kind of animal, every kind of creature into the boat. Then he and his followers boarded the ship and they were safe. Heavy rain began to fall. The floods covered the land. Wicked people were drowned. All evil was washed away from the face of the earth. There was flood water everywhere. So in this flood were also the family of Nuh alayhi salam, and it was very disheartening to Nuh alayhi salam to see that his family was also drowning in this flood as a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after many days, when Allah gave his command, the skies cleared up and the rain stopped. The ship came to rest on Mount Al-Judi. Nuh alayhi salam and his followers came out of the ship. They settled on the new land and filled it. So it was Mount Al-Judi where the ship came to rest. And from then on began their lives. After Nuh alayhi salam, Allah sent many messengers. They called the people back to the straight path. The last of those messengers was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He received the last message from Allah in the form of the Quran. The Quran gives us guidance about everything. Without Allah's guidance, people stray and turn to evil. Allah has shown men and women the straight path. However, Allah has given everyone the choice either to do what is right or to do what is wrong. So, yes, the Quran has been revealed for the guidance of all of the humankind, and it helps us, it guides us at every part of our life, be it leading our daily lives. It is a guidance. It is also a guidance for the leaders, how to run a government, how to do business dealings, how to treat family and friends. So all these guidelines are being given in the Quran. So without Allah's guidance, yes, people go astray um, and go away from the straight path. And Allah has provided us the guidance, so it is for us to choose the right thing. Allah has left on us to choose that guidance, to walk on that guidance, and reach Jannah, inshallah. Islam teaches us that there will be a day called the Day of Judgment at the end of time. On that day, everyone will be judged according to his or her good and bad deeds in life. Allah will reward those who believe in Him, do good actions, and obey His messengers. So He will also punish those who do not believe in Him, do bad actions, and reject His messengers. This life is a preparation for the life to come. The Quran teaches us that those who submit to the will of Allah will find paradise. So we know about the Qiyamah, we know about the Day of Judgment, we also know that this life is temporary and the life um, after the life here is going to be permanent, and that is why we need to submit to what Allah has told us. We need to submit to Allah. We need to follow His commands. We need to fulfill whatever He has prescribed for us in the Quran and through the Hadith, and inshallah we will find paradise. The first surah of the Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha, is a prayer for guidance to the path that leads to paradise and the life after death. So, life after death is called Akhirah. It is one of the most important beliefs of Islam. Disobedience and wickedness will be punished in the next life, and obedience and goodness will be rewarded. But Allah is merciful, He is forgiving and likes to forgive. He will certainly forgive those who give up the life of wickedness in this world and turn to Him. He will guide them to the straight path. So in Surah Al-Fatiha, we ask Allah to put us on the straight path. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. To put us on the path where the righteous, where the prophets, where the martyrs have walked and have gained victory. So that is what we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Fatiha. And the Akhirah will be a most important day and a wonderful day to the believers because their obedience, their goodness will be rewarded on that day. And a very, very bad and a burden for those who do not submit to the will of Allah and are wicked in this world. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to righteousness. Ameen. The Quran says that Allah has appointed over each one of us two angels who record what we do in this world. So we have heard about this time and again, where one angel writes the good deeds that we do and immediately writes it, and on the other angel would be waiting and not immediately write once a wrong thing is done. And once we seek Allah's forgiveness, and when we are sorry, obviously that bad deed is not written and it's covered up with another good deed. This is mentioned. This is mentioned, and from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, it's actually a gift that we have two angels who record our deeds, because it is a reminder to us. It is a warning to us. It keeps us conscious of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala every time. It is not that Allah does not know whatever we are doing, or He needs to read those books. No, it is not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is for us. These two angels are for us, whose presence would remind us to stay away from the bad things, whose presence would remind us to always do good things. So these two angels are actually a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to remain conscious always. The truly good will be in perfect happiness, but the evildoers will be in a blazing fire. So that ends the explanation for the chapter of reward and punishment. Let's go ahead with the exercises. Complete the following sentences. The first man Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created was Adam alayhi salam. The place Prophet Noah's ship rested was Mount Judy. The last message of Allah is the Quran. The surah for guidance is Al-Fatiha. The Arabic name for life after death is Akhirah. Part B, answer the following questions. Why do you think Allah sent messengers to people? So Allah sent messengers to people for guidance. He saw people going astray, and that is how He wanted to bring them back to the straight path through the messengers and the messages. What will happen on the day of judgment? We all know the day of judgment. Belief in the day of judgment is a part of faith, is a part of Iman. So on the day of judgment, those who submit to the will of Allah here in this life will be rewarded, and the evildoers will be punished. Write few words on the recording angels. So I have already spoken about the recording angels and whom will Allah punish and whom will He reward. Those who submit to the will of Allah, to the commands of Allah will be rewarded, and the ones who follow the shaitan and who follow their desires, their bad desires will be punished. All right. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik.